How many times have you signed a track to a label and then nothing? No release date, no contact, no artwork, no assets to promote it, just absolutely nothing. Silence. In this video, I'm going to talk about why this happens, first and foremost, and then give you an executable plan over 30 days to help you promote your release and get the most out of that banging new track you've just made. Let's go. Okay, as we said, we've signed this brand new release to this record label and it's coming out some point in the future. But how do you make a strategy for that release when you haven't got a team and you haven't got any help and you're sat on your own in your own bedroom trying to promote this the best you can? How do you do it? You want to get the most out of this release, and today I'm going to help you. First off though, why? Why does this happen when you don't know when it's coming out and you've got no assets? The first part of that is, for some of these labels, they're small. They're one-man teams, two-man teams, maximum. And they're labours of love. They're maybe not someone's first priority, especially if it's a DJ running it and they're a label as well. Maybe they're a promoter on a radio show as well. You know, all these things tied in together. And if they're all those things, then they're kind of down the pecking order. Should you still sign to them? Yeah, of course you could, because they'll still have an audience. But you've got to realise that if this is someone's second and third stuff, their life might get in the way. That definitely happens. We've definitely pushed releases back because life got in the way, which is unfortunate, and there's nothing you can do about it. The other things that could happen, maybe you've signed it to a compilation, and the artists that are signing these tracks to the compilation, they just can't get enough music for that compilation to happen, and it doesn't seem pointless to put out a compilation with, you know, less tracks than they wanted on it. Maybe you're signing a track to a label that's got a big headline act, and then they've gone on tour, and it's just got missed or something. This can happen. Maybe it's a brand new label and they just don't understand the timelines around putting out a track. You need to work on these things weeks and weeks and weeks and sometimes months in advance to get them in the right place to have certain things to happen. And then if that gets pushed back and it could affect other people's timelines and it could affect other releases, and it all just has a knock-on effect. There are basically lots of plates spinning all at once and one can fall and it all comes down. Now, I'm not making excuses for these labels. I'm just telling you what can happen and what to expect and why you might have not heard from them. So, what can we do? Firstly, keep in contact with the label. Keep badgering them for dates, keep asking them for artwork, and make sure they have all of the assets they need. So, they're going to need a radio edit. Most playlists will want radio edits in from a Spotify point of view. 2 minutes to 3 minutes long. You want that radio edit to absolutely pop. The first 30 seconds are killer. So you want to make sure that people don't skip that track in that first 30 seconds. Spotify playlists like them punchy. And to get in any of them, you're going to need a radio edit. Then the extended edit, which we all love as DJs, for the floor. Perfect. Is that ready? The next thing, have you already got it mastered, or are you going to let the label do it? Normally the label will do it. As a label, we do it. So if you make sure you've got your radio edit and your extended edit pre-master, send them to the label, ready to go. Send them your contract details, your name, your address, your telephone number. They're going to need all this information. So just be ahead of the game and send it to them straight. Also including that email, Beatport, Spotify links. If you've got a DJ name where it's got a UK in it or a US in it, in brackets, make sure you give them the correct links for those. It just speeds up that process, makes it easier for the label. Then, if you still don't have a date and you still don't have a release date, what can you do? Well, what I would do is I'd set a reminder in my calendar every Thursday to go and check Spotify for artists, if you've already had releases, and Beatport. If you go and check them every Thursday, then you can guarantee that if it pops up on there the week before release, you can pitch it to Spotify, because then you need to do it a week before at least. If this is your first release and it's your first ever release on Spotify, then it's going to be about checking the download stores, checking Beatport and track stores to see if it's popped up on there, and then you've got your pre-order link and you can start promoting it. I always think when it comes to your first ever release, it's a bit like a pancake release. You know when you're making pancakes and you stick the batter in and you're frying it away, it just comes out a bit naff, doesn't it? Like, it doesn't taste very good. It's not very good, and you kind of just throw it away, and then the second one's always the banger. This is what I think when it comes to releasing records, especially when it comes to Spotify. You can't get your Spotify for artists unless you've had a release, or unless you're on a major label. You can't get it, so it's just not going to happen. So it's kind of like your first release has to be a bit of a throwaway release. Get it out there. Then once it's out, then you can start promoting it and building some traction. And then your second release, and your third release, and your fourth release, they're the ones that you're going to really going to do some damage, because you can pitch them to the playlist, you can pitch them to editorial. So it doesn't matter if you're really small and your first release is on a really small label, it kind of does that for you. Or it could be a self-release. If your first release is a self-release, just to get some traction using, maybe it's using SoundCloud for artists. Did you see that video I did on why you should use SoundCloud for artists and why it's good for on Spotify and SoundCloud and growth? If you've had a release, then it's about claiming your Spotify for artists. If you've not checked out this video, and it's one of my biggest on this channel, It's about claiming your Spotify for artists and getting that tick and getting your back end so you'll have your own dashboard for Spotify for artists. This is so important because it means you can style up your profile, it can make it yours. You can start seeing stats and stream stats, and you can also see when your upcoming releases are so that you can start monitoring that to see if you've got releases coming out that need pitching. Okay, if you have got Spotify for artists, then you need to pitch that track. Like I said, 7 days before, Thursday night, midnight cut off. Make sure you do it on that day. Preferably 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks in advance is best. Gives that Spotify editorial team more time to check out your release, and they're going to be doing them through that portal. So they say. When it comes to filling in the form, only tick the stuff that's absolutely relevant for you and then relevant for that release. If it's dance music, then there's drum kit and synthesizers, maybe guitars if you've got a guitar, or horns. Include those sort of things. Vocals, choose dance genres and try and think about the genres that it might go into. If it's tech house track, maybe it's in house and dance and electronic. Think about those sort of things. And then when it comes to that last box, make sure you put some information in there. And for that final box, you want to talk about 3 things. And I'm going to give you these 3 things. Okay, what is the release about? Why did you make it? Is there a story behind it? Keep it punchy, but what is the release about? The next one, what playlists of Spotify's do you see it going in? Go into the Spotify playlist, go and listen to loads of the tracks, go and look at all the dance stuff and see what playlist your track would fit in and drop down 3 and put, say, 3 ideas. And then the final part is, how are you going to promote it? Are you doing promo? Are you doing a radio campaign? Are you doing a media spend on it? Have you pitched it to radio? Have you pitched it to data transmission for a premiere? We do 2 premieres a day in house, tech house, deep tech, techno, and drum, bass, and jungle. And myself and Shelley will be listening to those. If you struggle what to write and you're not very good at writing, AI is your friend. Go on ChatGPT, tell it some keywords about the release and say, write me a Spotify description that's no more than 200 words. It needs to include this data and this information and see what it spits out. And I bet it puts out something cool. Okay, so now we have a bit of a plan of when the track's coming out. We still have no assets, we still have no artwork, we still have no content, but we can do this between you and me. We've got this. We can make our content ourselves. We can find that artwork and we can promote this record. And the more you do this, the easier it becomes and the better at it you become. And then when you get to the bigger labels, and you'll become part of that process more and more because you know what you're doing and you know what you want from a release. So it's actually good practice in the long run, like everything is. Right, artwork. Let's talk about that. If it's on Beatport, you can do a Google search for your track title, go into pictures and find the artwork and download the artwork. That's that done. Bingo. I would ask the label to whitelist your SoundCloud, which means you can then upload it to your own SoundCloud. You see online people posting these, I couldn't upload my own track to my own SoundCloud, and they're kind of laughing about it. Well, the reason that is because you've signed it over to the label, and it's not actually your track anymore. The label own it. So they're actually protecting your rights by not letting you upload it to SoundCloud, because that means anyone could upload it to anyone's SoundCloud and claim it as their own. So they're actually doing you a favor. But you can get around that. All you need to do is ask the label to whitelist you with the distributor. Really, really simple. Give them your SoundCloud link, and it happens quickly. And then you can upload it to your own channel, and then you can start promoting it. I would, again, check in with the label, because they might want to do premieres. They might want to just upload to their own channel. Check your contract if you've got one. If you haven't got a contract, again, with smaller labels, contracts sometimes don't happen. Sometimes they don't happen until after releases. But if you can get one, great. And keep pushing for one, because you want to see what that split is, even if it's tiny. Now, we're going to go into the pre-release campaign. Now, this might only be a week. If you've spotted your release come up, popped up a week before the release, we're going to have to move quickly, and we're going to have to kind of do stuff as it's coming out and after it's coming out. Good news is that doesn't matter. Most of the time now, most of the labels will do a week campaign up, especially for smaller campaigns and releases, and then everything happens after release. Even when you're pitching out for radio, you want it to go on release day so people can listen to it on streaming platforms. And you'll see all the big labels only start pushing radio once it's out, unless it's got heat from the clubs. But most of the time, it will only happen once it's out, so you can get the streams. You want those Shazams from a radio to push to the full stream, so people can listen to it online. But if we do have some time and you spotted it 3 or 4 weeks early, then get in this pre-plan now. You've got a bit of time. What I would do is set yourself a day aside to make some content. And let's get ahead of the game. What are we going to make? You can make that track breakdown. You don't need a label to give you any information on that. You've got the stems, you've got how it was made. Film, bunk, different parts, and then put it together either in app or in CapCut. If you don't want to talk to the camera, use the voiceover option in Instagram and just speak over it. You don't even have to do that sometimes. You can just put bass, kick, hats, synth, keys, make it pop up, and then just in the caption, talk about the release. Make that content and just keep it on your phone ready to go. And make sure you film it portrait, because that's how people like to watch these things. I always think when you're making content, it's the 3-second rule. What's happening every 3 seconds? Bang, 3 seconds. Bang, 3 seconds. Bang, 3 seconds. Something different happens, changes. Whether it's a shot in a different angle or it's a different screenshot. What else can you do pre-plan? You can start building a playlist. Spotify playlists are absolutely banging. If you didn't see this video on why you should have your own playlist, definitely go and watch that. You're gonna learn about how to have your own playlist. Build that playlist for yourself. It's so killer. I would have a bright artwork for my playlist. And yes, you can use other people's tracks to build your playlist while you haven't got releases out. If you think about it from another label's point of view, you're promoting their track. That's only a good thing for them. They're going to get extra streams on that track for you doing nothing, but you're going to be building your playlist in time for when you've got your own release so that you can put your own track to the top of your own playlist with thousands of people on it already. Winner. We have course members that are building their playlists and they've got thousands of followers now on their playlists over the years. They're using Facebook and Instagram ads to build their playlists, and we go in deep in this in my course, The Artist Blueprint, and teach you how to build a playlist and how to run Facebook and Instagram ads to grow your streams, your listeners, and your followers. We can make time-lapse videos. Put the camera to the side of you or behind you and sit there making your track. Of course you're not. You're just going to move things around the screen. But when it's time-lapsing, you don't actually see what's happening on the screen. But what happens is it's that nice video of you just looking like you're producing. And what you can do is you can put a clip of the track underneath, finished a demo, finished a whip, finished an idea. And you can make a few of these. Change your t-shirt, change your top. And then there again, they're filmed, ready, content ready to go for releasing. Also, when it comes to those time-lapses, you can then again use it with a Beatport sticker on it when you've got chart places. They're always valuable. And if you film 5 or 10 of them, maybe take you 20 minutes, but then you've got loads of content for pushing that release. What else can you do? You can record yourself on the decks. Visuals of decks still get tons of views and still take tons of reach. You can play the track. Again, maybe you'll be clever and mix it with a bigger track. So then you're tagging different artists and they're going to share that piece of content for you, but actually it's going to get your track out there some. You could be sending your track out to DJs. Maybe make a list of 10 or 20 artists that are just that little bit bigger ahead of you. If you're not going to get through to the headliner because you're quite small, then think about who's 2, 3, 4, 5 on the bill, especially when it comes to festivals. They'll still be playing to big crowds. And if you can get your track played by them, it's still a great win. And they're also a bit more attainable and a bit more easier to get to when it comes to DMs and messages. If you can't do that, then get the home set out. Start live streaming on Twitch maybe. Start live streaming on YouTube or making YouTube video series to push your records. The next thing you can do, does your track have lyrics? Can you make a lyric video? And this basically means is the track plays along and the lyrics pop up on screen, maybe in a kind of cool, colourful font. Looks really cool, looks really visual, works really well on social media, and also works really well on YouTube. And gives you another piece of content to talk about. You can actually do this in Canva now. There's a new option called Beat Sync, and it allows you to sync stuff to the beats and the timing really quickly. Spinning artworks. These are the ones what you upload to turn to audio. They're still great. Again, if you've got an EP out, you could have 3 or 4 of them switching. Which track do you like the best? Maybe you've got a load of demos and you've got a load of stuff signed. Maybe you make 4 or 5 with just white label with a black background, white thing spinning. And it's stuff you've already been signed, but you put it out really early in advance and you go, which ones do you like? And then when it starts coming out, you can kind of message those people and go, oh, that track you liked way back, it's come out now, it's out on sale, here's the link. You can make these now pre-in-advance. If you are making those spinning artworks and they fit in real size, put a bit of Facebook ad spend on them and run an awareness campaign to really build out the reach and really build the video views. What you want to do is get loads of video views on it. And the more you can get over 70% have watched it, you can then corral that information into an audience. And you're going to use that to push your new track, push your new streams when it comes to later down the line of this campaign. You can definitely do that early, and you can definitely do that without artwork as well. All you need is a spinning artwork that people can check out and you can push with some ads. Most of us that are releasing music in the electronic space are DJs. You can definitely make some DJ mixes. One for your own SoundCloud, and maybe make a couple of extra ones that you can maybe pitch out to people like Data Transmission or When We Dip or Resident Advisor or someone like that you can use to grow this release along the way. You can definitely do them in advance. And always keep chasing the label, keep checking Spotify for artists, and checking Beatport to see if that release has popped up and you've got that valuable release date. Once you've got that, then you can build out the rest of your plan and the rest of our plan. So now you've got release date. Hopefully the label's come back to you. They've given you some artwork. They've given you some options to look at and you've chosen the artwork. And then you've got all the kind of parts and you've got the artworks in different sizes. Again, if you only get one square artwork, Canva is your friend. Drop the artwork into Canva, press the resize button, and it'll make it into SoundCloud banners, and it'll make it into YouTube banners and Facebook headers and Twitch headers and Twitter headers. You can do that yourself by just resizing it. And if you don't have it created by anybody, then Canva's got loads of cool templates. Just use one of the templates, drop it in, make it look cool, change the titles, change the text, change the colors to fit the artwork. It doesn't take much time. and those pre-built templates in Canva are wicked. And if you're not using Canva, I'll drop a link in the description. Okay, we've hit the release day. We've got there. Release is out. And this could have been the next day to when you got the assets. It could have been a week. It could have been 2 weeks. What can you do on release day? Well, first and foremost, you can jump on live on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, if you've got all those, and talk about your release. I always think live streams when it comes to DJs, is, especially on those sort of platforms, those short form content platforms, is not DJing on those, but just talking to your audience. Tell people about the release. Maybe if there's 2 of you on a collab, you could especially on Instagram, you could create an Instagram room where the 2 of you just sit on there, chat about the release. You ask the people a question. You talk about how it came about. You talk about how your friendship came about. Maybe make a list of bullet points of ideas of what you're going to talk about, and then just spend 5-10 minutes on there. That live is going to really help boost the engagement. It's really going to connect you with your fans a little bit better, and it's really going to talk about that release out. You can definitely make a new Instagram reel, Facebook reel, YouTube short, TikTok short form video telling people it's out on sale. Just talk about the release, and people will go and stream it from the normal streaming platforms. The Spotify playlist you've made, you can drop your own track into your own playlist and start getting them streams moving. This is the beauty of a Spotify playlist as your own. Also, because you've got your own playlist, you can start reaching out to other playlists and doing trades. Now, what happens here is basically you reach out and you say, I've got a new release. Would you mind considering it for your playlist? I've got a playlist, so if you've got any releases or you've got any music, send me yours and I'll consider them. And that nice little trade, we do tons of them. We actually use it to help our course members as well. We have a whole network of playlists that we use for data transmission because people want to be in our data transmission Spotify playlist. And we use it on a Friday to pitch our course members to loads of playlists and get them in loads of streams and really help them build their releases all for free as part of being a course member. And if you do have your own playlist and you do have releases, then hit myself up or Loz in our Discord server, because that's where we do it all from. And we are definitely down to keep building our network and have more people in our network. Let's talk about buying our own tracks. This is definitely done, and it's definitely known to be done, and it's definitely okay to do it. It's a pretty known tactic for DJs and producers at the beginning of their career, and let's face it, probably bigger labels as well. What it's going to do is when you buy your own track, it's going to be pushed in up that chart. Especially if you're on Beatport and the label's using a thing called Hype, and it's a hype chart, then that gives a separate chart for releases. That hype chart, you need less sales to get up it, and it's only small labels that can be in there. So you can pop up in the hype chart, and then once that starts happening, then people start buying stuff from the hype trap that aren't in you or your friend group, and it starts getting its own streams just from being in that chart. So by buying your own release and asking your mum and your nan and your mate and Gary down the road to buy that track, it's going to start popping it in these charts. If you've got an EP, then buy in different parts of the EP and it'll put it in the releases chart. Again, once they start popping in these, it can start going into the main chart and then it can start going into the overall chart. So start getting it moving by buying some of your own. It's definitely cool. Once it does start popping in there, it gives you a couple of things to talk about, especially from a social media point of view. A number one on Beatport, whether it's in hype or whether it's in releases, is still a number one. And when you start talking, hey, I've got a Beatport number one on your social media, all of the kind of general fans will go, amazing, buzzing, you smashed it, killing it, mate. All the kind of, yes, superstar. All those sort of comments that really, really push the reach of comment on content and give it more reach just because you're talking about that number one, that number two, that number 10 space on a chart. They don't give a monkeys whether it's the main chart, the hype chart, the releases chart, the global chart, the clown core appreciation chart. The number one is still a number one. The other thing it can do is once it's in those charts, you get loads of DJs that will just go and buy the top 10 hype or the top 10 releases. They're going to help fuel that release and help it move up the charts more. So definitely message everyone you know and ask them to buy a copy. It's literally less than the price of coffee. Okay, day 2 of the plan. We want to get mates streaming it and listening in full to that track. That costs them nothing. Ask them to put it on, stream it. They have to listen to it in full and get those streams moving. Are you in any Facebook groups? Can you jump into Facebook groups and start posting your music in there? Again, post the clips and get that moving. Are you in any groups where you can do SoundCloud swaps and repost swaps, or maybe pay for some reposts to grow the streams on SoundCloud and start making it pop there? Again, if you're really small, then SoundCloud streams and shouting about, certain amounts of SoundCloud streams is definitely going to help you. Again, from a social media point of view, it's going to help you grow that track, and then people will find it on the other platforms if they want to listen to it on the other platforms. And if you didn't check out this video, it tells you how to get to 5,000 streams on a track in a short space of time. So go and check that one out next. Day number 3, can you make a Beatport or track source chart? Now, what you're going to do here, these are pretty simple. You go into Beatport, create a chart of tracks that you're into, maybe put yourself in at 2 or 3, maybe put some tracks that you're really loving from other labels, support other labels, first and foremost, that's cool. People will be searching kind of tracks, and then they'll find those ones, and they'll also find you. This is also great. You can also then turn that into other content going forward. Does your track have a certain name? Like, for instance, the current track by Los Seca out on Data Transmission is called Run It Up. We could have a running it up chart or a running chart or an exercise chart of 10 tracks that are absolutely need for your next exercise, your next run. Right, days 4 to 7. This is where we're going to start thinking about ad campaigns. We're going to start running Facebook ads to start growing streams. And we're going to start pitching to radio. You know, the big ones like Radio 1 and Kiss and Sirius and George FM. All of those sort of places where you're going to pitch those tracks. You're going to have the certain presenters that are going to play that music. And you need to know who those are. And you need to know who your champion is for that space. You could take that Beatport chart and turn it into an Instagram chart. There's a great website called clipper.video. Again, I'll put the link below. And you can turn each of the tracks into little videos. And that can be another piece of content for your Instagram just because you made that chart yesterday. As I said, you start running Facebook and Instagram ads. One of our course members started on 100 monthly listeners last year, and he went up to 10,000 by the end of the year. Just from running ads, he's grown his playlist to tens of hundreds of thousands of followers now. And every time he releases, just from running ads, it's really growing him and his releases. And we, like I said, we go in depth into that in the course. There's a whole module on Facebook and Instagram ads for DJs and producers and how to grow your streams, your listeners, and your followers. And also growing playlists. And if you want to know more about the course, I put a link to jump on a discovery call. What happens on that discovery call? We chat for half an hour. I want to know what you're doing so far, what you've done in the past, where you've struggled in the past, where you want to get to, what's the goals, what's the dream. And if that bit in the middle is the course, then we'll talk about the course. If it's not, and it's not right for you, then I'll give you some ideas of what to do next, and then maybe we'll meet again further down the line. Also in this 4 to 7 period, we're going to start rolling out some of that content we made right back in our pre-phase. This is where we start using it and start pushing the short form content and the stuff on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube Shorts. Day number 8. Right, where are we at? Have we been getting some support? Have we get a radio play? Can we start chopping up the content that we've made that's been made because we're getting support? Maybe we had DJ support. Maybe we've had, like I said, radio support. Start chopping that up and making more short form content for your next push. Also, now is a good time. Just have a little bit of a review of your Instagram. Has it all been a bit salesy? Has it all been a bit buy, stream? If it has, this is the time to readdress the situation. Do we need a DJ video in there? Do we need a bit of content where it's a bit more fun? Do we need just some of your regular content that you're rolling out because you built a series and from watching one of my previous Instagram videos? Start using a bit of this and just break up the kind of all about me, sales. Also here, if you've got bigger DJ support, this is where this might start happening, and that'll help that anyway. Day number 9. How are those ads doing? They've been running for a couple of days now. Now, what we want to do is make sure we don't touch them for 7 days. You want to get through what's known as the learning phase. Don't touch them. Just keep an eye on them. Keep monitoring the return on investment. How is your clicks doing? How many clicks are you getting? What's your conversion rate? Is it low? And then we want to start thinking about how can we get it lower? Maybe it's an artwork change. Maybe it's a tweak to the ad strategy, but don't do that yet. Just keep monitoring the results. So many people, when they're doing Facebook and Instagram ads, they stop doing their ads straight away. But sometimes it takes a few days for all the AI to start working and it kind of finding your best audience. And then days 3, 4, 5, 6, and it really starts to sing, and then you start getting that really reduced rate. Okay, day number 10. Are you starting to get chart support on Beatport? Are you starting to get chart placings? Are you getting big DJ support? Have you had some great stuff on your promo reports? You want to start feeding this all back into radio, because if you're pitching to radio and you've had some stuff, if you didn't check out my interview with Mr. Jam, I'm going to link to that here again as well. For Capital Dance, they only start looking at tracks when it started getting traction. So you need to start knowing this data, and then you can start pitching it and coming back with that and make your email punch with more information about what's going on with that track, so then they can make informed decisions on whether they should put it on the radio. Are you live streaming? Are you doing regular live streams? Maybe on Twitch once a week, maybe on YouTube. Have you started playing your track? Do you know other streamers? Could you be reaching out to them and saying, can you play my track? Here's my new release. Can you consider it for your stream? Can you be chopping up that content and then using that for maybe a YouTube series or some shorter content? Those mixes we made back in the pre-plan, can we start rolling them out? Can we start putting one on SoundCloud? Can we start pitching them? Do we have some stuff coming out on channels like Data Transmission or When We Dip or Soundspace? Or if you're a bit bigger, maybe Mix Mag or DJ Mag. Do we start having content coming out? Do features and editorial? Is that sort of happening? Again, this is harder to get, but if you do have kind of those sort of things, maybe those premieres are happening, maybe interviews are happening. Engage with a publicist to help your release even more, to help it get some more traction, and they've started getting you some stuff happening. Day 11. Get an updated promo report from the label. What's happening with the track? Who's supporting your track? Can you be reaching out to those people in the DMs and going, hey, thanks for supporting the track. Thanks for downloading it. How are you feeling it? Has it been going off in the clubs? And generally, thanks for it. And can I send you some more next music? These sort of little conversations can start your network with a bigger DJ or another artist. So look who's vibing to your track in the promo report. Days 12 to 14 is a lot of repetition. Doing the same stuff that you've been doing for the first 2 weeks and just finding new ways to say the same thing differently. How can you attach your music and what's going on with the release to some different video? Again, monitoring results. This is one thing we do in my group calls, on my course. Every Wednesday we have a group call and we jump in and we chat about releases and we look at stats. We'll come up with content ideas and loads of content ideas for that release to help them really push it. Other things you can do. Can you get any more Spotify playlists? Building that network and kind of pitching out to players can take a bit of time, and it can be that little bit of back and forth. Don't pay for placements when it comes to Spotify playlists. Just reach out and say, can you support it? Can you include it? If they want money, please don't do it. Spend that money growing your own playlist and building your own network, and it'll be worth it in the long run. Trust me. Days 15 to 20. Again, this is about monitoring your results. It's about tweaking that ad campaign now. You've seen some results. You've seen some growth. What is the return on investment? What is your click-through rate? Is it really low? We want to be getting low numbers, loads of streams for that money you're spending. If it's not happening, then is it the ad strategy? Are you using the wrong targeting methods? Are you seeing, because you've split up your ads and you're seeing one of your rates is getting really good, you need to be pumping all your money into that? You know, have you started then getting some now traction and you're actually getting results, and can you turn that into an audience and start pushing your own audience and then really growing that out so it really brings the rate down? Maybe it's now a good time to update the fans. Maybe you've done do a new reel and say, guys, we're now 2 weeks into release. It's doing banging. I've got to here. I've had some support from this. Thanks for all your support, everyone that's supporting it. If you've not heard it, here it is. Check it out again. There'll be definitely a percentage of people that won't have even heard it. And by doing that and by saying it, you'll open your audience to some people that won't have heard it. Have you posted your release on LinkedIn? Have you got a page on there? Have you got a strategy on there? Releases are basically business. They're music business, and LinkedIn's a business platform. Talking about releases on LinkedIn is definitely cool. Same with talking about gigs. It all happens now on LinkedIn. There are a lot of promoters and other labels on there. So talking about your wins on there is cool. And then by now, your release is starting to rocket and it's starting to happen and starting to build, and you're starting to see traction, and you're starting to see bigger DJs playing it. You're getting support. More people are buying it. You're getting more stuff to talk about because it's just getting into that cycle of everything starting to build, which is a lovely place. And if you're there, man, I'm so happy for you. And if it's not, what else can you be doing? Can you be speaking to the label? Can we do collaboration posts between the artist and the label? Can we do a live stream with the label? Is there stuff we can be doing with other channels like Beatport or 1001 Tracklists or Tracksource if you're on those short channels? Do you have a Tracksource release that's coming out 2 weeks later, for instance? Can you start pushing that one, start building that, and starting the process all over again? And then as we get to the end of that 30-day period around that release, start pulling off all the stats. Start looking at all your reels and seeing what numbers they got. Looking at all the stats and all the numbers and start pulling it all off so you can see what content worked for you as personally. Go back and watch a load of stuff and see how you presented, maybe how you spoke. Can you find a better way to do it? Can you recycle some content for next time you're doing it? Okay, did you find this useful? Or did you find it an absolute mind blower and you're thinking, oh my God, I've got so much to do. I'm never going to do this. I just want to make music and DJ and that's it. Help. I'd love to know either way what you found useful, and if you can let me know in the comments. This is a different video for me, so if you have enjoyed it, please let me know in the comments. Next up, you should definitely check out this video on how to be a successful artist in the dance music space this year. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a like. Please subscribe to the channel. I'm dropping videos every week, and it really helps me grow this channel. It really helps you make better videos for you. Let's jump over to there and see how you can be a better artist this year. I'll see you over there. See you soon. Bye.